Hey, it's Jason Creel. Wanted to take a minute to talk to you about commercial properties and are they worth it? What's the deal with commercial properties? Because I think sometimes when you get into the lawn business, you'll hear people say, and I've heard people tell me this that are not in the lawn business, say, commercial property, that's where you're going to make your money. And I don't necessarily disagree with what they're saying, but what I mean by that is some of the most profitable accounts I've had have been commercial properties. But I think it's a real misconception to say that you can't make plenty of money off of residential properties. So I want to talk about commercial properties and give you some reasons why to get a commercial property, and then some cautions as well. So commercial properties. Let me start by saying this. Whether it be a residential or a commercial, but especially a commercial property, the ones who are just seriously price shopping, and I mean by the absolute deciding factor in which company they're going to hire is price, then you just need to stay away from them. Okay, you're wasting your time giving a bid, and you don't want to win the bid because they want something cheap and they don't necessarily want to skip on quality. And I'm not saying a company that goes out there and gets 3 bids or 4, whatever. If a commercial property wants to get multiple bids, I don't blame them. But just to go out there and say, this is what we need it cheap, and that's just that they're going to hire the cheapest person, you just need to stay away from that and just say you're not interested if you find out that that's sort of going to be the deciding factor. Now, and like I said, that probably holds true for residential as well, but on resident it's a little bit different because a lot of times these commercial properties are big. The last thing you want to do is underbid a big commercial property. I mean, you're talking about awful. And so if you land some apartment complex that's going to take you, a 3-man crew all day or half a day or whatever, and you found out you've underbid it, and now it's terrible. But what you do want is these commercial properties that care about quality, okay? And you want to position your business to be one of the local quality lawn care providers. If you'll notice, and this is just observation, okay, but the companies that do well, I'm talking mowing grass, and they, a lot of these mowing business, they'll sub out their spraying to me or somebody else, and or some of them do it all themselves. But the ones that are successful they're getting the commercial properties, but they're getting the ones that want quality and are willing to pay for it. So let me give you a few positives about commercial properties. Let's just say, for instance, larger commercial properties, apartment complex. These things are a pain. I mean, they are. There's cars everywhere. There's people everywhere. There's a lot of difficulties. It doesn't have to be an apartment complex. It could be some bigger property. But the thing about targeting those bigger properties is, one, you eliminate a lot of the competition. Now what you don't want to do is take on a bigger property when you've got one 48-inch zero-turn mower and one helper, and y'all take on an 8-acre apartment complex. That's not a good idea. But if you're positioned with the right equipment, the right manpower, there's not a lot of companies out there that are really equipped to handle those bigger properties. And so that it can greatly reduce the amount of competition you have. Who's set up to cut Miss Smith's yard next door? Everybody. Everybody and their brother can cut Miss Smith's yard next door. And that's fine. There's a lot of Miss Smiths in town. There's not that many big properties. I'm just saying, if you decide to sort of make a niche out of these larger properties and you have the equipment for it, then you won't have to face as much competition. That's one positive about commercial. Another, like I said, and most anybody can target these smaller commercial properties, little doctor's office buildings, restaurants, little small stuff that doesn't take special equipment or extra manpower, and can be profitable. So one positive on commercial properties, a lot of them, it's a year-round contract. So they want you there, keeping it up year-round. Now let me give you a word on year-round, because I feel like I made a mistake in this. when I start out, I felt like, you know, year round, that's what I need. You know, how am I gonna make money in the winter? I need to make money year round, which is true to some extent. But what I was doing, so I would get a regular mowing cut. One, I'm trying to get too many of my mowing customers to be year round, and a lot of them just didn't want to do it, so I was losing customers, or people wouldn't sign up with me because they didn't want to have year round. Well, the ones I did get year round, I mean, basically the way it ended up working out, I was basically cutting their grass at a discount all summer. Let's say I was charging somebody $120 a month year round, okay, just a regular yard, whatever. So, you know, if I'm cutting their grass weekly throughout the summer, I'm not making much money. I'm making, you know, if I cut it 4 times, I'm making $30 a cut on this yard. And, you know, some months I might cut it 5 times. So I'm basically taking a discounted rate the whole mowing season in hopes that this winter they're gonna pay me, you know, to make up for what I gave them a discount in the summer. You know, it's backward. I'm basically saying, here, you keep some of my money all summer, and in the winter, I hope you'll give it back to me. Well, what happens? Some of them will fire you about October, November. You know, so I quit doing that. I said, you know, we're gonna charge the regular price per cut on these residential accounts. Now, the difference is, if you've got residential or commercial, that's what I'm talking about, who actually need some type of service, and this is where you present them a schedule. You know, so, well, here's the schedule we offer. And so we start off bi-weekly cuts in March and April, then starting in May, we go weekly through September. October, November is back to bi-weekly. And in the winter, we still come and we blow off the parking lot, and we do this, that, and the other, and trim your hedges and cut back your crepe myrtles or whatever. I don't know. Whatever you do, but now you have, and it's this much per month. Okay, but what you don't want to do is just take a discounted rate all summer, you know, at least the heavily discounted rate, in hopes that they're going to pay you in the winter while you sit at home and do nothing. You know, you might as well just got the money in the summer and buried it under your mattress and pulled it out in the winter. I mean, it'd be the same thing, except you wouldn't be hoping they paid you. You'd have it, you know. So, and I'm not suggesting put money under your mattress, but you get the point. So, commercial properties can offer you that business that wants quality, that wants year-round service, that needs something year-round, needs it kept up year-round, and can pay you year-round. So that can really help on your winter income, which can also help if you have employees to help be able to keep them on in the winter, if you're able to, you know, generate enough work for them. So, you know, these are some thoughts on the commercial properties. I think it is a misconception that all the money's in the commercial. It's not true. I mean, you can, one of the downsides, and this if you go out to the bigger properties, that let's just say, yeah, I'm targeting apartment complexes and big commercial properties. Well, you know, you can only do so many of those. I mean, you don't have the capability to do a whole lot, and so it's basically, it's like that all your money, your revenue from your business is tied up in fewer customers. So let's say I have 10 customers, and each of them pays $1,500 a month. Yeah, that's 15 grand a month. You know, that's pretty good, especially as year round. That you could do pretty well with that. Well, the problem is, you know, if you lose one, I mean, you lost 10% of your business. You know, where if you have it built up on residential, you lose one. You know, it's not that big a deal. So, yeah. Anyway, there's pros and cons to all of it. I'm not saying, you know, but as far as commercial account, people say, well, how do you get commercial accounts? Well, I think, and this is true on residential to some degree, but most of the commercial accounts I get and have gotten, you know, I've tried cold calling. You just call people up in the winter and say, hey, you know, I'm Jason with Alabama Lawn Pros. I was seeing if you were taking bids on keeping up your grounds for this upcoming year. You know, I'm not saying you won't occasionally run into somebody who will take a bid, but most of the time that's just not the best way. So what you can do though, and this is what I've found, that's what I tell people. In the early stages of your lawn business, you're just plowing hard dirt, okay, trying to get customers. It's difficult. Nobody knows the name of your company. Nobody's heard of you. You might get some friends and family that'll give you a chance, but you have to do a lot of groundwork to get going. You gotta, you know, whether that be postcards or doing stuff on the internet. There's a lot of ways you can get going, but none of them are necessarily great. You know, they take a lot of work. Well, once you get established, and almost anybody in the lawn business will tell you that, once you get established, you find guys that are established, they start turning down work. They just got too many. I mean, I don't want any more. You know, it's because your name's out there. You've got hundreds of clients, and there's a lot of people to recommend you. I mean, this is my third year with Alabama Lawn Pros here. This third year, I'm getting significantly more referrals than I did the year one or year two, but because I've established, these customers know me, they've become, able to trust me, and so they start telling people, and I'm getting referrals and it's great. So eventually, okay, and then plus just people want, they just look on the internet. I mean, like these commercial properties, they say, we're gonna get 5 bids. They go on Google, they type in lawn care, whatever your city is, and they find the first 5 lawn companies. They're listed on Google, and they call them. They say, we're taking bids for our property. And so having a web presence, most of the time, I'll be honest, the commercial companies contact me. I don't contact them. And they're just looking on the internet. And so again, having a web presence is important for those kind of things. But once you get established, the business starts coming to you much more than you have to go find. I'm not saying you don't market, but that's been my experience with a commercial property. So anyway, there are advantages. The commercial properties, another thing about though is like, again, this is why you don't want to go the cheap route. If you've got a good commercial property, okay, the people want quality, then you can put the time in. They're paying me well, and this goes the same for high-end residential. You might get a high-end residential that pays you year-round, and that's totally fine too. But they're paying you for quality, and they want quality, and you better deliver quality, and that's fine. The problem is when I'm not getting paid that much. I had to cut my price to get this, so I'm going to cut corners. And then the property manager comes out, and they're wondering why you hadn't done this, that, and the other. They want quality, but they don't want to pay for quality, and you're trying to cut corners because you're not getting paid great. Just stay away from it. It's like, well, we deliver quality, and this is what it's going to cost. If that's not what you're interested in, then we're not your company. Okay, so just like I said, it's a big properties. It's a whole different animal to some degree, and you need to be set up for it. But a lot of you can target the smaller residential, smaller commercial properties, and be profitable, and can maybe help solve some of your winter income issues. So, any thoughts, comments? Leave them below, and I'd like to hear what you guys think too. Thanks.